Hello, this is Dan Wu. Today I'm going to talk about my experiences with pause, P-A-U-S-E. Pausing is a practice. When pausing is used to make decisions, to relate to events, to let go of negative, afflictive, toxic emotions, it's a roadway and a path to joy. Insight meditation teachers like Tara Brach and Jack Kornfield sometimes use the term sacred pause for the practice of pausing. To actually pause when it is helpful requires becoming aware of emotions or thoughts or stories that don't help us. Pausing is also a way to reach that moment of space between the thought and an action. It's in that space that we find a way to relate to what is either going on inside of us or outside of us without rushing into a response or reaction which we later regret. It sounds like a simple practice, but I found for myself it wasn't. In order to pause efficiently and at the right time, I actually had to begin to feel my feelings when they occur, to notice what was going on in my interior environment, to hear self-talk, to hear odd thoughts, odd ideas, odd stories. I had to learn how to be aware of these without becoming more judgmental about my own thoughts, feelings, emotions, stories. Every human being has stories and emotions and feelings. For a lot of us, we don't take the time to become aware of them because we don't know how to. We find ourselves angry and responding with some form of angriness with words or an email or a text or a message that in hindsight we would have been better off not sending. Or we would have been better off by editing out unhelpful language. I love pausing. It's been an incredible help in my own life. It made me much more aware of the interior life and also more empathetic to what was going on in other people, or what is going on in other people. Another acronym that's sometimes used that's perfect for pausing is WAIT, which means why am I talking? Another one is HALT, which means hungry, angry, lonely, tired, as signals not to do anything when I'm either hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, or have any combination of those things. Becoming aware of these of these feelings and senses is a process by itself. In my case, it has been helped by insight meditation, also known as the four foundations of mindfulness, also known as Vipassana practice. They all come from the Satipatthana Sutra, which is viewed as the first teachings of the Buddha on mindfulness. When I use the word mindfulness here, it's not the same as the word or term mindfulness, which is bandied about in the United States in advertising, Mindfulness has become a big business in the United States. Most mindfulness practices are variations of mindfulness-based stress reduction programs that Jon Kabat-Zinn helped create. I'm not criticizing mindfulness as it is used in the United States. It is far more shallow than the mindfulness process involved in training in the four foundations of mindfulness. Over 13 and a half years of practicing pausing, I've gained a lot of things, one of which is some intention and some choice in how I respond to what may be going on inside of me or what is coming from the environment. It's a form of freedom. For those of you who are not familiar with the four foundations of mindfulness, or Vipassana, or the Insight Meditation Society, or Buddhist teachings on mindfulness, you can find tremendous resources today on the web, in YouTube, in bookstores. There is a lot more available for resources for learning than when I began my practices. One of the best things about pausing and actually becoming aware of a time to pause has for me been the diminishment of moments where I need to pause. That is a surprising development. I believed at one time that normal people, or at least it's normal to be reactive, and I discovered instead it's probably not normal. It's something that's conditioned by the environment, by birth. We're human beings. We're going to be affected by many, many things in growing up through cultures, family, schools, media, whatever. And the thing we aren't really, well, I wasn't really taught about in growing up is how to know my own self, how to look inside myself, using a mind that had been conditioned in a certain way to look at things in a certain way, to intellectualize things, to spread judgments around, really isn't a good place to start from, because its insight at that point is very limited. It was in meditation practices, the insight meditation practices, the four foundations of mindfulness, where I literally began a new way of looking at things. I'm going to give a somewhat spectacular example that occurred early on. After 5 months of meditation practice, including the insight meditation, among other things, I was swimming in June 2003 at a facility where the swimming pool was in a box-like structure where one wall was made up of large glass panels facing east. That meant that if I swam in the mornings, when sunrise occurred, and as soon as the sun rose higher than the hills to the east of me, when I was in the pool, the sunlight would come straight into the pool. It was a nice place to swim. What happened during my lap swimming was completely unexpected. I learned a profound lesson from what happened. Even today, I still do not know what happened. I just know it did happen. In the various meditation practices I was doing daily, the base of all of them was the breath, or is the breath even today. And in the four foundations of mindfulness, as a stability practice, one develops what's called a bare awareness of the breath. What it means is that I'm always barely aware of the breath. It's the core of all that I may think or do. When I breathe, I'm alive. When I don't breathe, I'm not alive. That seems pretty obvious, but for most people, I understand it's not only not obvious, it's not easy. I had been swimming laps in order to recover from a partially torn tendon in my left foot that had been missed during my first visit to the doctors about ongoing pain in my left foot. By the time I found out that I had a torn tendon, it was many months after it had happened, and and I was having a lot of problems with my left foot. So I swam and did not push off the walls with my left foot as it was healing up. I was doing laps and completely focused on breath and stroking, having the right form and breathing. I was actually in a pretty good state of mindfulness or attention because I wasn't thinking about anything else other than my breath and my form. And even then, really wasn't thinking. I was just trying to stay and pay attention to my breath and my form. Now, as I was doing laps, the sun rose in the east and sunlight hit the pool. And shortly after this happened, all of a sudden something happened to me. Time slowed down, so even as I was doing laps, I could see the individual drops of water coming up or falling down as my arms entered the water or left the water behind me. The sunlight was intensely bright. I became aware of all the intersections of the direct rays of sun that hit my eyes without going through water, as well as the refractions and reflections from the water of the sun rays going through drops of water, or reflecting off the water, or refracting through the drops of water. It was an incredible sight. It was an incredible vision. I did not stop swimming. I just continued and was in this mist of a slow motion unfolding before my eyes. The colors became more intense, more vibrant. I just swam back and forth. And then when I finished, I pulled myself out of the pool. And at the same time, I told myself, or said to myself, what the hell happened? My takeaway lesson from that experience was that I had been thinking for years or decades that I had been seeing light and colors as they were, that what I thought I was seeing was real. And instead, I did not see what was there in front of my eyes. It wasn't real. Although this was a momentary experience, again, I don't know how long I swam before I came out of the pool. The brightness of light has always remained with me, and if I'm not caught in my head, the vibrancy and intensity of color have persisted. When I do mindful walking, if I am truly mindful, the light and colors come back. Today, one of my Qigong classes, we do walking Qigongs through an arboretum and plantings, and it is a wonderful experience. I've discovered sometime after this had happened that I began sitting outside as often as I could when I meditated, because that same experience would come back during my meditations outside. Once I had settled into meditation, the world enlarges, even though it's a few square yards or a few cubic yards of space in front of my eyes. my big takeaway from that experience, and this occurred, as I said, only a little over 5 months after I began meditation practice, is that I need to, and I would, let go of what I think exists in reality. Because if I had not seen color or light for decades before this experience in their full vibrancy and intensity, what else had I not seen that's right in front of my eyes, or feelable from my skin, or available to other senses? I'm actually doing this video because I've jury-rigged a way to have the webcam above my monitor. I'm using a large plastic grocery clip, a plastic T-square, and blue duct tape to hold the webcam in position. This is my third YouTube video. I am still practicing, still learning how to use the technologies, and still learning how to talk into the camera, so to speak. I hope this helps you. Just practice pause all the time, every day, and I believe you are going to find some remarkable things will happen along the way. They may not be as spectacular as that time. Time stopped, colors intensified, and the light became brighter for me. But it's in my mind, things will happen, experiences will happen. As a result of that experience, I went back to a number of my Buddhist books, meditation teachings, and started reading some of the testimonials by meditators who've had this similar experience. Even today, over 13 years after the experience, I don't try to guess at what happened. I don't try to explain it. I don't even know if I'm even now seeing colors and light the way they truly are. We have expressions such as when we're angry, we see red. When we're depressed or down, we see black. I think that's true, that that we filter light and color in accordance with feelings and emotions. I remember growing up in a very dysfunctional, angry, violent household that at age 17, the Rolling Stones released the song Painted Black. I play that over and over and over again because at that time, to me, home was a dark, black place. I did not realize I was going through a depression when this was happening. So that's my interpretation today of what happens. And my interpretation of what I see or how I see things, I know is subject to change as my experiences change. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this additional talk. Be thankful for the sacred pause, practice the sacred pause, and the use of the term sacred becomes more obvious with the use of the sacred pause.